You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan. And this time Jean Paul Egg is not here with me because due to the snowstorm, there were some inconveniences that we're dealing with. But we want to say hi to Jean Paul. He was from the boiler room on the NXT review. So thank you for joining. Thank you for all the love, support, and for everything that you give to the channel. We absolutely love it, and we just want to give back, giving you the best information about professional wrestling and soccer in the business. I hope all of you are doing fine. And let's start talking about AEW, because don't forget to support us with NXT review. Finn Balor says to Kyle O'Reilly, not a second time, because they're going to have another match for the NXT Championship. He says this time is going to be the end. So I think it's going to be a pretty good showing. It's going to be a good match. And also, it's going to take place at NXT New Year's Evil. It's going to be on January 6, 2021. And also, as you can see, Karrion Kross is back, and he's going to be fighting against Damian Priest. They're going to be settling their differences. So 2 already matches have been announced, so please check it out. Good stuff. It will show that is trying to get better like before. And we got also the main event, Tony Storm with Rhea Ripley. So please check it out. Support us with that, family. So now let's talk about, like I said, AEW Dynamite, a show that tries to go to a new direction, tries to portray different things because of the ratings difference that they had a month ago. Like Jean Paul has been saying throughout this whole window, all these 3-4 weeks, Tony Khan decided to change the idea that they had, but let's see if they did it or not. Show starts with Adam Hangman Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds going against Matt Hardy and Private Party. That's Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. This was a pretty decent match to open the show. Matt Hardy coming back to the ring due to his injury that he had a few months ago, so he was coming back. He looked pretty decent in this match. Private Party looking like the kind of tag team that they should be portrayed to be. Unfortunately, the Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds, they still look like losers. Although they give us a pretty nice showing, and Adam Hangman Page, of course, is going to be the guy for me. If Kenny Omega 2021 was good, I think 2022 or the last 6 months of 2021 should be for Alan Hangman Page. So they had a pretty good showing. I like how when Alan Hangman Page tagged in, he hit all his moveset. He's intense. We believe what's going on. Matt Hardy also he's good at just carrying the other opponents. So I really like that. But in the end of this, Hangman powerbombs Quinn for a German suplex from Silver. Hardy makes the save. He hits a twist of fate onto Silver on the floor. And then Private Party hit Gin and Juice. That's their finisher. So kind of they set it up with the twist of fate from Matt Hardy. And then they hit Gin and Juice. And they pin Alex Reynolds. Hardy steals the pin though. When they did the move, then Matt Hardy was the one that covered him. 1, 2, 3. And Matt Hardy and Private Party get the win. Like I said, I don't know where this is going to go, but at least you see that Matt Hardy is still grooming Private Party to become a better tag team, or at least to have a better showing when it comes to Private Party, because the tag team division, the one thing is it has a lot of talented men. They could do so much better with them, but they don't really know how to portray them, and that's the biggest problem, the biggest issue that the AEW has. He has so much talent, but they're not able to get even their finishers as the juice out of them. They need to be able to have more feuds within the tag team division rather than 3-man tag, unless they decide to go for titles that are 3 men, which they have a lot of them. They have the Best Friends in Cassidy. They have Matt Hardy in Private Party. They have even with this trio that they have right here with Adam Hangman Page and Reynolds and John Silver, it will not be a bad idea. So we'll see what happens with that, family. Also, we got to see Alex Marvez, and he's with the Inner Circle, and Chris Jericho and MJF both tried to take credit for the New York Times Award for Dinner Le Bonheur, though they had an award for one of the best performances. So MJF is talking about this. He's saying that he did it all, and also he won the AEW Diamond Ring twice. So that's why he's also cashing in on that. Jericho wanted to talk, but you see a little bit of tension because MJF always tries to steal the spotlight. And Jericho is the man, is the leader of the Inner Circle. So you guys can see that is starting to become a problem. I can see the teases of fractions in between the Inner Circle. We'll see what happens in a little bit. So also there was a promo because we're going to have new parents. We're going to have new parents in AEW. And that's going to be Brandi Rhodes and Cody, because they announced with a video package, and you guys can see they were fixing the Christmas tree, and then somebody knocked on their door. They have a package, and they're announcing that they're expecting a baby. So congratulations to both Cody and Brandi. this is pretty good for them, and like pretty suspicious. And I'm just not trying to be facetious here. I'm not trying to like be. I'm not trying to speculate when it comes to this. But like I think that a lot of couples are having kids around this area. Said around this time, I should say. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, they just did that. They just announced it. They have a baby. Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette. And now Cody and Brandi. So I don't know if like they're taking turns. I don't know if they're, and like if they're trying to steal the other person's spotlight. I don't know, but like, and we're pretty excited for them. So good stuff. Like they actually being able to establish AEW. So now they're trying to go to a different stage of their lives, a different path, and that is going to be being parents. So pretty good on that. So let's talking about the American Nightmare. He had a match with Angelico. So this was a pretty good match. Angelico, like they were saying, Excalibur, they were talking about like his beginnings in Spain and how like Ultimo Dragon told him like he needs to like go to Mexico, learn the lucha libre style, and then he became one of the greatest technicians in the business. And Cody, like he came out with Brandi, like they kissed, like everybody was congratulating them for like the news about their baby coming. So it was a pretty good show, and Anderson was right there, just kind of like talking about like Cody, like the strategy of how to beat Angelico. But like they gave us a good match. They're both of like pretty much the same size, same like physique. So like it was actually pretty contested. I like it. And towards the end, we got to see Angelico almost winning. He dodges the disaster kick and starts working over Cody's leg. He like on the Navarro deadlock. I like that. Like I said, like Angelico is a pretty good technical wrestler. If he will get a push, and maybe in the mid card, I could really see him like being like Timothy Thatcher. So that's why like Cody made it to the ropes. He runs to the ropes and hits the Ace Crasher for the win. He didn't even do the Crossroads. He did just the Ace Crasher for the win. Because why? This match was only like just to entertain. Didn't have any purpose after that. But like what really came about was like Team Taz comes out, and then Taz marks the sentimentally over Cody because he's going to be a father. He's just mocking him, just making fun of the situation. Oh, Cody's going to be a father. Oh, so Taz threatens to have his team charge to the ring, but then we get to see the Icon. We get to see Sting for the third week in a row. He makes the save for Cody, like he came with a bat. So then Team Taz retreats. Sting looks at Darby Allin in the crowd and walks away. So you can really see there was like the promo right there that he was going to appear live. He didn't talk. He was just going to show up. I think that for the third week in a row, Sting is becoming, I don't want to say he's coming stale, but like they need to really set up the match really quick because outside of that, I don't know what they can do with him. But he came out, made the save. And like we mentioned with Paul in the last AEW Dynamite, they're going to do Team Taz against these guys, against Cody, Darby Allin, and Sting. So Sting probably not going to have a lot of work, a lot of the workload of the match. He's just going to have maybe a few spots, and that's what is going to be it. So now let's talk about Alex Marvez. He's with Miro. He's been fined $75,000 for injuring the AEW staff members last week. Miro says that like he hates Orange Cassidy, but because he doesn't care. Then there will be a huge announcement next week regarding the wedding date. So that's going to be on Dynamite, but on Dark, he's going to have a match also. So we'll see what happens with that. Miro is being portrayed absolutely terrible as of now, because like he deserves to have like a top tier feud. He deserves to be going after a championship or like a top tier talent. Let's say even Jon Moxley could be the one. Even Pac, that is now his return, although the both of them are heels. But like somebody like a good babyface should be feuding against Miro and not just Orange Cassidy, just because like the feud seems already stale. I don't have a lot of interest when it comes to that. I really think that like they should have given something better to Miro, is because it's his first feud, and that's going to be what establishes him as a credible figure on AEW. But that didn't happen. So now let's talk about the guy that like had a great, absolutely amazing feud with Jon Moxley, and that's Eddie Kingston. He's going to be addressing his enemies. He comes out to the ring and he has a live microphone. Then he says that he took out Pac and he's not coming back. Lazancher interrupts and they start brawling. So really quick, he couldn't even say a few words. He only mentioned something about God, that like even God hates him around those lines. But like you see that like the feud with like Lance Archer, a new babyface Lance Archer, is not really make any sense. So the Butcher and the Blade came out to help Kingston. Then Penta and Phoenix even the odds. So Pac also appears out of nowhere. So it's actually the babyfaces are overpowering the heels in number. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. So everybody brawls and the babyfaces dominate. Then Archer and Pac get into an argument about who should beat up Kingston, and they stay tall as Kingston, the company, as Kingston and everybody else retreats, like the Butcher and the Blade. So I don't really know where this is going. I feel that like Eddie Kingston came out really hot out of the feud with Jon Moxley, all the promos that he did, all the intensity that he showed, although the match quality was not there. But at least, he could have been going to another main event babyface. But that's the problem with AEW. Not every single guy is babyface. They need a little bit more of that, because now you had to turn Lars Archer into like a babyface. or the people that are asking like, where's the Snake Roberts? The Snake Roberts is actually injured, not COVID related. He's just dealing with COPD situation that I guess he's suffering, but he's going to be better, and he said he's going to be live next week on Dynamite. So we'll see what happens. Eddie Kingston, like I said, he's a pretty good heel. He has a great microphone ability, so they need to cash in on him. The momentum that he had with like Jon Moxley with the feud and everything is going to be starting to run out. So like let's hopefully like they do something with Eddie Kingston. So let's go to like Dasha Gonzalez, and she's going to interview Dustin. He's going to be interviewing Dustin Rhodes, and he says that he rejects the Dark Order's offer, and he challenges Evil Uno to a match next week. So he pretty much, the natural Dustin Rhodes is saying that I'm not going to go heel. I'm not going to go to the Dark Order. I still want to be a babyface. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy. That's where I want to be. So, no, I don't need to be in the Dark Order. Thank you, but no thank you. And Evil Uno, we want a match. Next week in Dynamite live for every single one of the Rubber family. Like I said, well, this is important. This is cool. We'll see. Dustin, I can see him like for next year just joining the Dark Order or being a crucial part of the Dark Order or being a heel, because he has the ability. He's been doing both. So I think that it's time for him to like refresh the character a little bit more, because it's not stale. I'm just saying like he should be able to go to the other side and give us like, better matchups or like even better promo ability, because Dustin is able to do that. So we'll see what they do. Finally, let's move on to the next matchup. It's supposed to be more guys in the ring, but like Wardlow was taken out of the match because he has like family issues, so he couldn't travel to Jacksonville, Florida. So for that reason, they cut out from the Baby Faces team. They cut out Cutler. So like, it's going to be the Best Friends, Top Flight, and the Varsity Blondes, and against like the Inner Circle. And that's for that reason, like I said, they took out these guys. They took Brandon Cutler, they took out Wardlow to make it even. But this was a pretty good showing. This kind of match is also like the only problem with this is like there's so many guys in the ring. It's very difficult to like follow the action. That's one problem. And also like everybody wants to put their spots in, so that makes the match not quality-wise great, but you have to have all the guys. You got to feature them on TV, and also like they have to have this feud with like the Best Friends. They need something with them. And also Orange Cassidy was on commentary, but like Orange Cassidy doesn't talk, so that's kind of the things that like why you have him on if he's not gonna say anything. Like the Varsity Blondes, they're a pretty good team. I feel that they're the future AEW, they're the future of wrestling. They will be guys that potentially in a few years, even maybe sooner, they could be really big stars on like when it comes to professional wrestling. And that's Garrison and also of course Brian Pillman Jr. I think this kind of matches help them to just be on TV, to be featured. That like Brian Pillman Jr. is on MLW, so I still have some commitments there. But I really enjoy seeing them because like they're really great in the ring. Garrison has a lot of future. He's good. Or maybe he gets a haircut or like they switch his like gimmick a little bit, but that was pretty good. The Best Friends, of course, they have the spot, they hug, all of that. That's the same thing that they do all the time. And the Inner Circle, they perform really well. Sammy Guevara good. Also, Santana and Ortiz, Jericho. Like I said, these matches doesn't really have the point of like giving us like a individual performance, like to showcase them. No, it's just for more like just like we just need to have everybody on TV because sometimes that's what we do things. But again, the action is really difficult to follow. But then the Best Friends hit the Soul Food, have Nelson suplex combination on Ortiz. They almost get the win on that, but Jericho hits Garrison with his bat, and then Hager hits the F10, and that's Wardlow's finisher on to Garrison, and they get MJF covers for the win. So like Jericho, you see it once again, the tension, because like Jericho was about to pin him, or like Hager was about to pin him, but MJF wants to steal the spotlight, and that's why he does it. And then he was just saying, I'm the best, and that's why you see a little bit of friction in between the Inner Circle. It's like they're friends, they're in for it, but they're not really in it. They're like, you see like it's fake. The relationship is just fake, and the cracks are starting to show. But match quality, it was pretty good. Like I said, the Best Friends, they don't really have anything going on for these guys. Again, Private Party, Best Friends, even Varsity Blondes, they should all be feuding for what? For the goal, instead of like these individual feuds that they don't do anything for them. So then Alex Marvez is with Thunder Rosa, and then she was cutting a promo on how Britt Baker like got in her face, because otherwise she would have been the NWA champion. She would have beat Serena Deeb, but then Reva shows up, and then she gets into Rosa's face, and then Baker attacks Rosa from behind. So you see the feud is still going, and that's a great feud. I really love it. I think that like Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, they should be like outside of like the women's championship feud. That should be the main feud in between the women, and that's what I like. Thunder Rosa could easily like challenge Hikaru Shida after this when she beats Britt Baker, or Britt Baker should do the same. But I really like where this is going. It's taking like it's time to cook, to develop, so I like this a lot. Let's go, family, with the next match is SCU. Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, the Impact guys, or the TNA guys, like going against the Acclaim, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. This is pretty good. This was the best match of the night for me. They did a lot of great spots, and SCU is doing what they're supposed to do as veterans. They're supposed to put new talent over, and the Acclaim, they have a really good gimmick. They kind of like rappers, and you guys can see also Anthony Bowens. He looks like John Cena from Dr. Thugonomics. He has the chain around him. He does the rapping. The rapping actually comes out pretty good. So I think that that's the gimmick, verbatim. That's the gimmick that he's trying to do, and he's actually doing a really great job at it. And Kazarian and Daniels, they can always give you a pretty good match. He hits a Blue Thunder Bomb on Bowens as well. Then Daniels lands a flying crossbody onto Bowens for a near fall. Caster hits Daniels with a boombox, and Bowens covers for the win. So this was pretty good. And like I said, veterans, they had to put over talent. SCU is they were the first AEW Tag Team Champions. They had the goal. They had the good story. And now they need to put over different talent. And also the Acclaim, then Caster raps at the Young Bucks after the match. Bowens challenges the Young Bucks for AEW Tag Team Championship match next week. The Young Bucks accepted the match. So we're going to see Top Flight also challenging Chris Jericho and MJF to a match next week. But the Acclaim gets the AEW Tag Team Championship match with the Young Bucks. This is going to be a great showing for the Acclaim, and that's pretty good. These guys have I like the gimmick. I like the fighting style. So this could potentially be a really great tag team on AEW. Hopefully they don't fall out in the same category as Private Party, because that will be a shame. That will be a big shame if they do that. Like I said, I like how Caster does the rapping. He's a pretty good rapper also, and if they keep cashing into a new version of Dr. Thugonomics, they have a bright future when it comes to that. So now let's go to the women's side. We talk a little bit about Thunder Rose and Britt Baker. But now let's go to Serena Deeb and Diamante. And Diamante and Eva Lee is going against Serena Deeb and Big Swole. This match was just, the women's match. You have 4 women that are pretty good in the ring. Can they tell us a good story? This was pretty decent, at most. It was a few sloppy spots, a lot of people say that Eva Lee sometimes can be a little bit harder to work with. I can see the why. But also, Diamante is pretty good in the ring. I like her style. And Big Swole did a pretty good job. But see, you have all these girls. You don't really have anything to do with them. So that's why they put them in this kind of feuds that come absolutely from nothing. But, Swole find an opening to make the tag for Serena Deeb. She hits a net breaker into the ropes on Eva Lee and hits the Godbuster. I like that. Serena Deeb is pretty good in the ring. You see the intensity. Maybe the character is not there yet because, she doesn't talk too much on the microphone. Promo ability is there, but I feel that as a wrestler, she has grown, and she has grown so much. So then Diamante and Eva Lee respond with double team slam on Serena Deeb for a 2 count. Swole interjects and headbutts Diamante. She hits a really sloppy Tiger Driver and applies the Cloverleaf for the win. So you get to see the baby faces get the win. Big Swole, Serena Deeb, Big Swole. She should have been opponent for a AEW Women's Championship feud after she beat Britt Baker. That didn't translate into anything. So that's why they have it in this kind of things that not really mean anything for the future. But they got the win. What happens after that? Nyla Rose comes out with Vicky Guerrero to attack Serena Deeb and also Big Swole after the match. And that's how you see also Nyla Rose completely wasted, at least on my end, because just she has Vicky Guerrero with her, she's her manager, and they're not doing anything. They don't cut promos, they don't go after wrestlers, they just go on after these girls that absolutely don't have anything meaningful in the women's division, and Real Bell makes the same. She's returned, she had a chair, so that's what they do. So we get to see also a video package from the Jurassic Express, and then FTR, or, aka The Revival, they come out, and they take an issue with that, and they wonder if the tag team wrestlers matter anymore, or tag team wrestling matters anymore. So they say, Doc says that the Jurassic Express is in the crosshairs of FTR. So once again, we mentioned this last week on the AEW review. FTR is going to be going against the Jurassic Express, and whoever wins from the two, I think is going to become #1 contender for the Young Bucks or the Acclaim, whatever happens next week. So next week, family, we're going to have the Young Bucks versus the Acclaim, like we said, for the tag team titles. We're going to have Chris Jericho and MJF versus Top Flight. So, another matchups. The one thing is Jericho, they don't want him to be in the main event spot anymore, so he has to just be in tag teaming against Jake Hager. At some point, if the baby faces have the titles, then they're going to go against if the Young Bucks are more babyface, they can go against Jericho and Hager for the titles. Hikaru Shida is going to be in action. The opponent is not being defined. She was actually in action in AEW Dark. She beat a local talent, and also she was attacked by Abaddon, so they still going to keep progressing that feud. So that's good, but if you don't watch AEW Dark, you wouldn't know that Hikaru Shida was in AEW Dark. So that's kind of one of the low points of AEW is you gotta keep watching AEW Dark, you gotta keep watching the outside shows to kind of find some sense in some decisions of what happens in the main show. Dustin Rhodes is going to go Evil Uno. We already mentioned that. And then Jurassic Express versus Colt Cabana and 5 and 10. And then Pac with versus the Butcher. That is going to be the lineup for next AEW. Seems like pretty decent. So now let's go, family, with our main event. And the main event is like our champion, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega defending the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, going against the bad boy Joey Janella. A lot of people were really upset about this. A lot of people were really disappointed with this, because how can Kenny Omega has his first title defense against a guy that, for many of the fans is not believable enough? Joey Janela. The one thing is just like, that's the answer itself. It's just because he's not going to win. He's not going to become the champion. It's just they need to feature your champion on TV and they have him win. Why? Because, champions, when it comes to TV, rather than pay-per-view, they have to win, they have to look strong, and Kenny Omega has been, everywhere. He was a Triple Mania 28, he's been on Impact for the last 3 shows, including Final Resolution. So the main problem is just, you have to feature your champion also in AEW Dynamite, so that's why they did it. They had a match with, like I said, Joey Janela. Sonny Kiss was not even there. What we saw is we saw Don Callis. He was actually calling the match, so that's good. They keep portraying this duo. This I want is not even a stable, but like this duo, like I said, the Don Callis and Kenny Omega. Match quality pretty decent. Kenny Omega can have a good match with absolutely anybody. And Joey Janela is not as terrible as a wrestler. He's pretty decent. Unfortunately, again, this guy is difficult to book. He has never received a real push or a real opportunity to showcase himself as a character, a more believable character, and that's why everybody, in the AEW family, or like everybody that's a fan, they don't really go behind him. Towards the end of this, Omega had a microphone. He beat him with I think it was a steel plate, or it was a tray that he had right there. So it's that's how you make a noise. So good spots in the match. Also Joey Janela sent Kenny Omega through a table. He put him there. He countered the One Wing Angel into a reverse hurricanrana. Then Sonny Kiss sets up a table as ringside. Then she came out. Then Janela legs dropped Omega and through the table. See, that was a good spot. And then in the ring, Omega avoids a moonsault and connects with the few big triggers. Then he hits, of course, the One Wing Angel, the move that nobody has ever been able to kick out. And then he gets the victory. So Kenny Omega defeats Joey Janela in 6 minutes and 20 seconds. One Wing Angel done. This match is only to promote your champion, to give him some TV time, to make sure that everybody knows that Kenny Omega is the champion. Although everywhere we get to know that he's going to be in the main event of A Hard to Kill. He reunited, the Bullet Club is going to be with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, going against the Motor City Machine Guns and also Rick Swann, the Impact World Heavyweight Champion. And after the match, we get to see the Death Triangle, and then they come out and they confront Omega. Then Pac says that he hasn't finished business with Omega. He reminds Omega that Phoenix never received his match against him, so Pac reveals that Omega will face Phoenix on December 30 for the AEW Championship. They're going to do absolutely the same thing that they did with Chris Jericho, because he faced Scorpio Sky, I think, in the last edition of Dynamite. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to do the same thing this year. They're just going to have a championship match, because of course we have the Christmas show and then we have the New Year's show. So of course they have to stock the shows up, and of course you gotta portray your champion, you gotta feature your champion, because otherwise your ratings, you're gonna be losing to NXT. So that's why they did it. And Omega's furious as Dynamite ends. So we get to see a heel Kenny Omega. He's not happy with the decision, because he's gonna be defending that championship against Rey Fenix, and also then he has to get ready for what is gonna be A Hard to Kill. That is gonna be Saturday, January the 13th. So family, thank you so very much for the subscriptions, for the love. A pretty decent AEW Dynamite. I think that the direction and what they were trying to sell us, I don't think it's quite there yet, but the best storyline that they have going on right now is Kenny Omega and Don Callis. The alliance with Impact is, I think, is flourishing, are pretty good. And also once we see those matches, once we start to see invasion angles that from the Impact guys into AEW, or the AEW guys into Impact, more than just Kenny Omega, it will be a little better. So don't forget, family, thank you so very much for the love one more time. We will be here. John Paul and I will be back for NXT UK review. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, comments, let us know what you guys think, what you guys like, what you guys don't like. And also don't forget to check us out on social media, on Facebook, on the Road Break, and then the OG Road Break on Twitter, and the original Road Break on Instagram. And right here, the place for the best content in professional wrestling and soccer. I'm Juan. Thank you so very much for watching, and take care.